Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? When Sean Payton announced that he was leaving the New Orleans Saints, he did disclose that he wanted to take a shot at TV. And many sort of assumed at the time that Fox would be a good landing spot for Sean Payton because, as an NFC coach over the years, Fox having the NFC contract, Sean Payton has landed in production meetings before games with Fox crews for years, for more than a decade. So, in a sense, they know him really well, and he's got to know them really well. So that was a little bit of a natural fit. And I get it. You could turn it on its head and say, well, Tony Romo was in Dallas. He was in the NFC, and he ended up in CBS. I get it. It's not a fail-proof way of looking at it, but there's some reason to say, okay, these conversations could have taken place to where you could have started tilling this soil, and apparently that has happened. Well, on the show on Thursday, we talked about the news that Troy Aikman apparently is poised to become the analyst for Monday Night Football. He's going to leave Fox after 21 seasons there to be the analyst on Monday Night Football, which has been a revolving door since the Tirico-Gruden tandem broke apart. Mike Tirico went to NBC, John Gruden went back to coaching, and we've seen a lot of turnover there from, of course, Booger McFarland, and my goodness, we saw Sean McDonough there for a year. The current tandem that's there now with the three-man booth, Jason Witten jumped in for a year. It's just been bad. It's just been a bad booth, as evidenced by how much attention the Manning cast pulled from Monday Night Football this year. So if Troy Aikman, who has kind of been criminally underpaid, and you hate to say it that way because he was making somewhere in the neighborhood, I believe, of $12 million per year at Fox. But if you're Troy Aikman and you've been at the top of your business for 20 years and you're making $12 million, and Romo comes in year one and he makes $17.5, you're now being outpaced significantly by a guy who's a newbie. I get it. Maybe Fox looked and said, he's never going to leave. And apparently Troy Aikman's leaving. He's going to ESPN. It's not been formally announced by ESPN, but it seems as though that is all but a done deal at this point. That Troy Aikman's going to get a big bag and is going to end up going to ESPN. So that leaves Fox in search of a new lead analyst, and that's where Front Office Sports is reporting today that Sean Payton is negotiating with Fox Sports to potentially succeed Troy Aikman as the number one game analyst alongside Joe Buck. It is worth mentioning Joe Buck is also a free agent, so he could end up not back at Fox, but could certainly remain at the network where he's been for more than 20 years now as the lead analyst for football, lead play-by-play guy for football for the NFL, but also calling the World Series. There's one big, gigantic question that I have with the Sean Payton news report. What if the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy after next season and Sean Payton goes right back into coaching? It's a very real possibility. If Sean Payton takes a year off, does TV, collects $12 million, which is apparently what Front Office Sports is reporting Payton would be paid. For what it's worth, he was making about $9 million at with the Saints this past year. So you're talking about Sean Payton leaving potential. Forgive me, it'd be worth $10 million annually. He's making about $9 million with the Saints. So leaving the Saints and making more money in TV. One other possibility is Greg Olson, who's Fox's number 2 analyst right now. They see potentially grooming him into being what Aikman was, a guy that could be in that lead analyst role for 20-some-odd years. So that's another possibility. They apparently kicked the tires on John Lynch, who is staying with the 49ers. Phillip Rivers is a guy who is also seen as a potential, Dandy Don Meredith of the future. Could he, in a sort of southern kind of laid-back style, seamlessly transition into the booth? Maybe. But Sean Payton's going to be an interesting one because I think most people assume Payton is going to find his way back into coaching at some point, most likely with Dallas. We've all talked about it. It's the worst kept secret in the world. Jerry has made plays for Sean in the past, and Sean came to the Saints from Dallas, where he was the offensive coordinator. He's got a home in Dallas. We know all this. Like, it makes all the sense in the world for all the reasons we've all talked about, and most of us assume that Sean Payton is going to end up back in Dallas as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys at some point. But could it be after 1 year? If that's the case, if you're Fox, do you really take a 1-year flyer on Sean Payton? And the way that I would say it is like this. I would approach that the same way that I would approach hiring coordinators. If you're at a place like, and I'm going to use a college analogy, if you're at a place like LSU, you don't pass on a coordinator because you fear they may be scooped up for a head coaching job. You cross that bridge if and when you get there. You do whatever you can to make your team better right now. And if that's the right coach and he may leave eventually, great. You would rather have your coaches in demand because it means they're doing a great job with you. I'd say the same with Sean Payton. If you're Fox, you don't pass on Sean Payton because he might go back into coaching. Sean Payton may end up being John Gruden. And John Gruden stayed in the Monday Night Football booth for a decade and was awesome in that role. And maybe Sean Payton gets into TV, is juiced by it, loves the extra time that he has with family, the general lack of stress that accompanies coaching on a week-to-week basis, keeps him engaged in the game, around the game, and making more money than he was making coaching, and he stays. Maybe he does, or maybe he jumps after 1 year. But I think you cross that bridge if and when you get there, and if he's lured to try to get back into coaching, then you make as competitive offer as you can if you're Fox to keep him. But you don't pass on Sean Payton today because of what might happen in the future. So it looks like that's the most likely possibility right now, is that Sean Payton will jump into bed with Fox and be their lead game analyst alongside Joe Buck if all the dominoes fall as the way they will. This is according to a report from Front Office Sports. So we'll keep you posted on there, but Sean wanted an opportunity in TV, and it looks like he's going to get it, and very likely with Fox at some 8 figures annually. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.